Hey, what's up guys, my name is Rainy, welcome back to the Rainy Days YouTube channel. Today we are going to be covering some very funny, very rude, entitled parents. I have prepared a whole host of stories for you guys. I hope you enjoy and stay till the end because there will be bloopers. Let's get right into this. Entitled Kid scribbled on my artwork. There's a yearly art contest in my town, and I decided to enter with a pretty ambitious piece this year. Sadly, kids are drawn to bright colours, and my people skills are absolutely terrible. EP will be entitled Parent, and EK will be entitled Kid. I entered with a brightly coloured 5 canvas painting, which stood out a lot from the otherwise dark interior of the room. The gallery was hosted in. The first day went by and I got a few nice comments about my piece. The gallery was open all weekend, and although I felt a bit iffy about leaving it there unattended, I decided to just let it happen and hope for the best. Sunday went by, and after school on Monday it was time to go pick up the paintings. Pretty much all the other pieces had been collected and there was only 2 other people left in that room. I knew all the other contestants this year, so I knew for sure that the lady was not any of their parents. Her daughter was looking at my piece, which I didn't see anything wrong with at first, but then she started talking about bringing it home. Now, the easiest way to deal with that situation would be to ignore her, pick the canvases off the wall and get out of there as soon as possible. But EP must have been from out of town, because she didn't have the same avoid any and all social interaction with strangers mentality as the rest of us. She started questioning me about acquiring the paintings. Daughter really likes the paintings over there. Did you make them? I just nodded and forced a smile. Oh, well, the contest is over now, isn't it? You probably won't be needing those anymore. We'll gladly take them off your hands for you. No thanks. I need them for later. But my daughter really likes them. I think it would be better if she has them. You could just paint some new ones. That takes a lot of time. Canvases are expensive too. Then get a job. Try to think of others for a change. You should be flattered someone would want your art. I don't see why she can't just have them. At this point, I am sick of trying to reason with EP, so I just turn around to the pictures. I probably shouldn't have. I turned my back to EK in the first place, because the rat bastard had been scribbling on one of the canvases while I talked to her mum. I gently lifted her out the way and placed the marker back into the toolbox where she must have found it. Of course, EP exploded a bit when I touched her gremlin, but I just tuned her out after a bit. I took the pictures and got the hell out of there to avoid further escalation of the situation. God, I wish things were that easy. EP started following me out of the gallery. Apologise back to my daughter immediately, you hurt her! EP starts crying, and I am not making this shit up. She's trying to get the waterworks going over being lifted a metre across the floor. I didn't, and I won't apologise either. What is the least you could do is give her the paintings? They're ruined now anyway, and she deserves that after what you did. I simply blurted out a no and left. Traffic separated us and I got home safely. Decided not to get anyone involved. I really can't be bothered to make more of a fuss about this situation. I hadn't gotten around to fixing the damage yet. I'm glad she didn't mess it up too bad, because I ended up winning the first round, which means I need to get it all fixed up for the regional round in April. Well. That story got interrupted. That was really bloody scary. Yeah, this cropped goblin is, very entitled. Just a simple way to put it. Very, very entitled. I can't believe that it's like they're just so. How could people be this entitled? Like, I totally get the try to avoid any and all social interaction with strangers bit, because that's the mentality I have. When people try to talk to me in public, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? What the actual fuck? So yeah, that's where my social interaction goes to. Just because you brought it doesn't mean you own it. My iPad. Oh, I want an iPad Pro. My iPad Pro. So I'm sitting in a cafe, minding my own business, mainly studying, and EP walks up to me. Now, I've seen her around the cafe before. She's always complaining about something, not always about the present task at hand. I'd also like to say that although the title may not point to it, but she is not stupid. She knows how to get things from people and make people side with her in an argument. Her kid, by the way, I was in ninth grade when this happened, who was in sixth grade, was a bit spoiled, but didn't really like his mother. Anyway, I'm on my iPad and she asks what type it is and if it's new. I tell her it's an iPad Pro and that is used. Really? That must have cost a lot then. I think she thought my parents bought it for me. Yes, it did. I was always keen on saving money as a child. Well, I happen to be looking for an iPad myself. I quickly tell her that it's not for sale. She then proceeds to try and give me $50 and an Xbox gift card of $100, not joking. I tell her that A is not worth 150 and B it is not for sale. She seems annoyed and says that since it's being used twice, it puts the price down. I tell her no again, and this time she thankfully walks away. But the next day, my parents got a call from EP while I'm at school. My parents told me that she was concerned about me because she saw me watching porn on my iPad. Holy shit. I tell them what really happened and they seem unsure to who to believe. She used to know my parents when I was younger. My parents end up taking my iPad away just to see if there's any trace of porn on it. They gave it back almost immediately because they know it's mine and that I wouldn't watch porn in a public place. I don't know why she did this, so one day I go to the cafe again and see she is there. I do this for a few days and finally I find her and confront her about the situation. She acts like I did watch porn and ask her why she lied to my parents. I really think that you shouldn't have the iPad if you're going to do things like that, especially in a cafe where everyone can see. I wasn't doing that, and you know it. How do you think this would get you my iPad, you bitch? She slaps me, didn't hurt that much, and staggers backwards as if I was about to attack her. She goes on about how I am disgusting and don't deserve the iPad, that my parents should take it away from me, and tell her I tell her they can't because it's mine, and then, just because you brought it doesn't mean you own it. Hippity hoppy, your property is now my property. Wow, I said that really fast. Did I even say that right? Hippity hoppity, your stuff is now my property. Is that it? Or is it hippity hoppity, your property is now my property? Something like that. She has got the attention of basically everyone in the cafe and says I am verbally abusing her and that I watch porn in the cafe. I defend myself while the police are called and we both brought outside. She almost got more than the iPad to tell the truth. She tried to sue my family and said that I had threatened her if she told anyone about something I didn't do. But in the end, it was us that sued her, me for assault and extortion. Although she wasn't stupid, she wasn't smart, but she believed me that she could have pulled it off. She was. Edit, I would like to clarify one thing. I was sort of part of the problem going back to the cafe again, and think if anyone is in a situation like this, they should not confront these types of people. If I hadn't have gone back or not talked to her, I would have avoided almost being sued. Well, I mean, I'm glad that the poster recognises this. This was going to be one of my points. Like, you shouldn't have gone back to the cafe. It's kind of a bit stupid. But, you know, it does make for a good entitled parent story. But it is really how much you're willing to risk. Give me the dog, or remove it, you greedy bitch. Can I just say this one looks like a long one? First of all, some context. I am a 15-year-old girl. I am tall, around 5'7" or 5'8". Same girl. For those who want my visual appearance, I have blondish brown hair and a pretty sharp face and blue-grey eyes and some muscle from doing judo. I also have generalized anxiety disorder, GAD, and social anxiety. Same. This girl is literally me. Just replace the blondish brown hair with, like, brown, almost black hair, and it's literally me. Like, actually me. Oh my god! I love this story! I remember reading it. It's not a nice story. Oh, okay. Aha, okay, I'm getting distracted. So I have a serious dog, and I have problems with my hearing. I'm not fully deaf, but I do struggle to hear sometimes. My dog is recently finished his training, but is very good at detecting when an attack is going to come. He is a border collie. He's white and black and greying a bit. His right eye is brown and his left eye is blue, and he is 7 years old. His name is Shay. At this time, I had my girlfriend with me. She's only a month younger than me, and her name is m.o.r. m.o.r. I feel like I'm saying her name wrong. I'm sorry if I say her name wrong. m.o.r. is very small, around 5 foot, and pretty slim. She has brown hair and bright brown eyes. The story takes place at a pet shop at the time. I had a bad ear infection, so I could hear less than usual. EM entitled mum, ED entitled dad, EB entitled brat, Maud my girlfriend, E employee. Me and Maud were out on a Saturday, since we go to different schools. So after eating McDonald's without incident, Maud convinced me to go with her to the pet shop that had recently opened. Just before we left McDonald's, I made sure that the surface dog vest was secure on, and that signs were visible, since we were entering a new shop. It has happened before, and I knew children would be there. Maud happily skipped ahead of me and made her way towards the rabbits. I slowly followed behind her, looking around nervously. I made eye contact with an employee and gave a half smile. The employee looked down at the dog. I knew he'd keep more of an eye on me in case of incident than he would with other pets. I reached my girlfriend, who was arming over the dwarf hamsters. Her finger lightly tapped the glass with one of her hamsters appearing to be trying to eat her finger through the glass. She was smiling and just admiring her. She moved away from the hamsters and made her way towards the birds. Maud started to coo at them, and the birds seemed to reply as they tweeted back. She then looked up, not at me, but at something behind me. I turned to see a woman standing with her child. I quickly moved out of the way, thinking she just wanted past. She didn't move, and instead she just stared at me. I noticed the child was tugging at the mum's hand and trying to pet my service dog. I lightly pulled Shay back out of his reach, and the mum didn't appreciate that. I'm sorry, he can't pet the dog, I say, trying to remain calm. Why not? The mum had raised her voice, and I was able to hear her. I'm easily irritated, and being Irish, typically sarcastic, so I said, "Are you blind or just ignorant?" I know it probably wasn't the best thing to say, but I said it anyway. I took a few steps back towards my girlfriend, which she quickly followed, watching the woman and her child. The woman looked down at the dog and noticed the vest, though she didn't seem to care because she said, "You can't bring your dog around a pet shop and expect people not to want to pet it. If you don't want people to pet it, leave it outside." What? First of all, it has a name, and second, if she left him outside, how would it be able to assist her, since he is a service dog? This gave me quite a shock, because Maud doesn't like confrontation. The brat, probably 5 or 6, started to cry, saying something along the lines of, "I want the doggy." The mum turned to me and said, "Look what you've done." At this point, I was starting to get extremely anxious. Shay was picking up on this and began whimpering, pawing at my leg, and then at Maud, who understood what would happen if we didn't leave. Maud took my hand and started to lean past the woman, herself being on the side the woman stood. Then a man appeared in front of us, blocking the way, and she started to demand to know why the child was crying. He was the kid's dad. "These employees would not let EB pet the dog." This confused me because neither of us were wearing a red t-shirt and with a black paw print on it. I'm wearing a green t-shirt and black everything else. My girlfriend is wearing a Huffpuff shirt, blue jeans and Skechers, nothing close to red. Edie stares down at my tiny girlfriend and grabs her arm. She started growling at the man for 2 reasons. One, he could sense how angry I was. Two, the stranger was standing very close to me and he was giving him a warning. "Let go of my girlfriend," I demanded of the man. I usually get courage out of nowhere when I'm angry, and this man was barely taller than me. I hear EM making a gagging sound and some homophobic comment like, "Fucking gays, ruining everything." And I felt the need to correct her and said, "Actually, we're bi." Then turning back to her husband, "Now kindly let go of her before I call the security." The place didn't have security, that I could see, but it worked and he let her go. I grabbed her and pulled her closer to me and was still boxed in. She was starting to get more aggressive and I was becoming more anxious. "Why would you be selling such a vicious dog?" "We don't." It was fine a few minutes ago. Give me the dog! No, she needs the dog. At this point, my hands started shaking as Shay was becoming more frantic to get me out of the situation, as was m.o.r. Give me the dog or remove it, you greedy bitch! Then our saviour showed up, the employee that noticed me as I came in. Yes, these two employees took my child's dog from him. That's not your child's dog. That is her service dog. My hands started shaking, hoping we were going to get out of the situation, and because of that, Shay sat down beside me, staring up at me. How do you know that? I saw her walk in with him. They took it from him before they got inside. Muad at this point was a tiny ball of rage. We did not suck thing, you fuckers. I don't know what that means. Do you have anything to prove the dog belongs to either of you? Muad, knowing the document, bloody hell, what is wrong with me today? Muad, knowing I carried the documents everywhere I went in case something like this occurred. I have also seen videos on YouTube of people demanding the paperwork to prove the service dog is a dog. The dog is the service dog. She smiled triumphantly and reached out into my bag and pulled out the paper, which she handed to the employee. The employee read it out loud as the entitled parents went very pale. Yep, it's her dog. He hands back the papers back. Please leave the store or the police will be called. The parents basically dragged their kid out of the shop, and the employee started to apologise. We were thanking him. Then we left. This would not be my last encounter with an entitled parent. Okay. This is why I love this dog so much. This story so much. This is Shay. He's so cute. Yes, he's so cute. He's a border collie, and I love border collies. He's so cute. Yeah, I'm getting way too excited about the dog here. But yeah, it's a dog. You know, you can get excited at dogs. I don't have a dog. I have one pet, but I love my pet. I love my pet very, very much. Okay, guys, that has been Rainy Days reading some stories from the r/entitled parents subreddit. I hope you guys enjoyed and stay tuned. Are you blind or just anchored? I can't say that word. Why not? The mum. Oh. She's trying to get the waterworks going over being lifted a meter across the floor. Fuck. Okay, that was creepy. I'm currently home alone, recording this, and I just heard like walking. That really scared me. Okay, let's go. Let's just get back to it. Where were we? Okay. It's probably just my house, because my house is very old, but it's still creepy. Okay, it's still creepy. But she just turned. Wait. But EP must have been from out of town because she didn't seem to have the same avoided any all. Which should have. Fucking hell. I entered with a brightly coloured 5-canvas painting which stood out. Whoa. Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Rainy. Back. Whoa.